how do you think time will be in heaven? This 9-year-old says, will heaven be boring since we're just going to be there for so long? Eternity is kind of a long time. Like, will we have any sense of time? Will we pay attention to time? What do you think about that?
Great question. And it's a great question because Jesus intimated that he was beyond time when he was here. He said things like, before Abraham was, I am. Of course, Abraham lived 2,000 years before Jesus. So he's saying, my timeness is much bigger than what we're experiencing in this reality. Now, I do think that we'll have a sense of time in heaven, but some of you have heard me in the past talk about expanded dimensionality in heaven. And this is something that we will be talking about in the 1 Corinthians series as we get to April or so. But I think that in heaven, not only will our bodies be bigger and more dimensional and more complex, but I think the arena of time may have multiple dimensions. If time has 3 dimensions, it answers all kinds of questions related to God. How can he be at all places on the timeline at the same time? How can he hear everybody's prayers at the same time? How can predestination and free will be simultaneously true? Well, if time works different for God, it makes sense of all of those questions. So I think this is a challenging thing for a 9-year-old to be able to grasp, but the idea is, if you imagine how a line is different than a piece of paper. So a line is 1 dimension. A piece of paper is like 2 dimensions. Well, imagine that God was experiencing time and we will experiencing time in multiple dimensions. So we can not just go one direction, but we can go backwards and forwards and left and right all at the same time. You could do all those different directions. Or if it was a 3-dimensional object, it would be like a cube, and you could go backward and forward, left and right, and up and down in this time frame, just like your body has 3 dimensions. And I'll just say, even for an adult, super hard to imagine how this works, but I think that time will be bigger than it is here and much less limiting.